It's Hughezy, hello, and this is episode 14 of the podcast. And welcome to everybody, especially. You might notice during this episode that I'm sitting a little weird. Well, it's because I've re-injured my back, the one that I heard a couple of weeks ago, and not because I have hemorrhoids. Let's just get that very clear. It's a back injury, not hemorrhoids. That being said, if you do have hemorrhoids, blame it on a back injury. People won't think you're a dirty slob. Okay, today we've got the great John Wangland from Wrestling with Reality and Not Wrestling with Regret, as I called it, where he's on talking about my top 10 most overrated and underrated in the wrestling business, because I'm a mark. Then we've got Sarah Venny returning. We're on talking about the top 10 Christmas music, and she completely sexually harasses me many times throughout it. I'll be filing a Me Too movement complaint against her. And then at the end we get the brilliant, absolutely hilarious Jim Florentine on. This guy is dangerously funny. I was laughing my arse off. He talks about everything from Amy Schumer's joke stealing to Eddie Murphy to Opie versus Anthony. It's going to be great. But first, plugs. Don't forget the show has a Patreon. There's links down below. All donations help, and all donations go towards the production of the show itself. I don't pocket any of it. And don't forget, of course, to follow the Creative Control Network on Twitter and other Creative Control shows, which are also available on iTunes, such as Wrestling with Reality, The Hambone Show, Oh What a Rush podcast with Animal from Legion of Doom. Yes, that Animal from Legion of Doom. Of course, Creative Control podcast itself. And then let's not forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. The shows are very interactive. That's how you can get involved with the show. And also, don't forget that there's an official Keeping It 100 YouTube channel that I'm running. Keeping It 100 is the show that's run by Disco Inferno, Conan, the Hurricane Shane Helms. There's classic and new clips uploaded daily, Monday to Friday. So go over and find that on YouTube. It's Keeping It 100 official, and subscribe. And don't forget, if you're actually watching this, to leave a thumbs up down below, because thumbs up and comments actually help the view count go up. So you don't even have to even watch the whole thing. You're just going to click on thumbs up and go away. That would be your day. Thank you very much, and that's the plugs over. Okay, John Wangland from Wrestling Morality, you're up next. Hello. So hey, thanks for coming on the podcast, Wrestling with Regret.
We are here, brother, man. Wrestling with Reality's here with Hughezy. Hello.
It's addictive to say that, isn't it?
It is, man. I love it, dude.
And it's working on that non-Irish slime, Disco Inferno.
He's a...
So talk to me, how are you finding being a podcaster yourself?
Man, I'm loving it, bro. To be honest with you, man, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I've got a chance to link up with some cool people and get a chance to meet different podcasters, and I'm having a hell of a lot of fun with it, man. It's a great time. Okay,
so this is my top 5 overrated wrestlers of all time. And we'll go through them one each, and then I'll get your opinion on them. For me, the number 5 most overrated wrestler of all time, Bret the Hitman Hart.
Okay.
Like I'm not, because again, this is not saying that they're not good wrestlers.
Yep.
But the way, like, so many Bret Hart matches were almost exactly the same. Like, he could never do gimmick matches or stuff like that.
Bret was never, when we look at overrated or underrated, Bret was never a draw in the ratings. And no matter how anybody ever looked at, Bret was a great technical wrestler, but you made a really good point about him, is that Bret was very, very, very much one-tracked, man. He could go in the ring. He would never do gimmicks. Like, you just never saw that with him. He was the excellence of execution. And he was a guy that was just never really a ratings draw. Like, WWE had some of the worst ratings ever with Bret Hart at the helm there. And when he left, like, I think he kind of did them a favor to get out of that contract, because
that's actually the thing about him that I was finding interesting, is that the best thing that ever happened to WWE was getting rid of Bret Hart, and that must burn his arse.
Yeah. I mean, and he was a great technical guy, man, and he had some great matches out there. Him and Kurt Henning's one of my favorite of all time at SummerSlam 90, I think it was 91. But I agree, he was very overrated in a lot of ways. I never looked at it from that context on it. So I think that's a very good point that you put with him.
But I will say this, though, that Bret Hart's heel run in *97 was my favorite run of his.
I saw it live when he got put in the ambulance by Stone Cold. I was there when they did it to him, when Stone Cold in the ambulance.
That's one of the best angles I've ever seen.
It was great, man. I still watch it and pop to this day when he did it to him.
And at number 4, the most overrated of all time, Ric Flair.
Very, 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 very true in many ways. I agree with you. Rick drew in the Southern ways, and Rick was another one-trick pony in a lot of ways too. Great wrestler, not knocking that he drew in certain ways, but no, I would agree. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, but for me, with Ric Flair, now he did have moments of brilliance, but from the 90s onwards, I think he had maybe 5 good matches, and he wrestled for 18 years after the 90s, you know?
Yep.
Like, really, in the 90s, you've got and onwards, you've got the Royal Rumble 92, you've got the Ric Flair versus Vader, and then you've got the Shawn Michaels match at Mania, and I can't think of anything else that would make him the greatest of all time. And plus, when you go back and watch some of his 80s stuff, it's so fake looking. Like, obviously it is fake, but it's so ridiculously playing up to the crowd.
Chi-Town Rumble was one of my favorites with him and Steamboat, but I agree with you. After the Vader match, after some of that, I don't really know what he did that was really that great. His matches with Hogan in WCW they were terrible. I mean, and that's partially because Hogan, I love Hogan. I'm a Hogan mark, but Hogan can't wrestle to save his life. Rick couldn't carry that. If Rick had a great wrestler in there with him, he could have a great match. Rick wasn't a guy that could carry anybody else in the ring, in my opinion. And I'd beg people to differ on that. I mean, maybe you're going to find 1 or 2 different people, but I agree with you. What did he really do, man? The Shawn Michaels Mania match was great, but everybody knew what was going to happen with that. And then he tarnished his legacy over at TNA.
See, not only did Rick tarnish his legacy going to TNA, but he embarrassed himself. Because he was going on TV drunk and forgetting names and promos and stuff. And it's like, Rick, would you just go back to Vince's office?
Yeah, I think he got there too because he wasn't paying tabs.
Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, he's a notorious alcoholic, and thankfully now he's sober for himself, you know. But I don't think anybody wants to hear about Space Mountain anymore, man.
Did you know that Ric Flair and AJ Styles had a lot of hate in the TNA days?
Yeah, AJ didn't want to do it, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, because Flair is the way he is, and AJ in real life he's never drank, he doesn't party, he's married, he's very Christian, he reads his Bible every day, you know. And at number 3 is the most overrated of all time. Now, again, I'm not saying they're bad, but just overrated. Trish Stratus.
Oh, okay, that's an interesting one. Hit me with that.
Because I think, Trish is one of these ones, it's like, you know Ben Affleck?
Yep.
Well, he's not a great actor.
No.
But when he gives a great performance, it's really, really good. And then people think, oh, Ben Affleck's such a great actor. And it's like, well, is he though? And with Trish, apart from Lita and Victoria, I can't think of anyone else she had great matches with.
Yeah, her Mickie James matches were sloppy as hell, man. Like, and, you know, and they were that back and forth thing. I love Trish. Like, I think she was always like my number 1 crush growing up. Like, I just wanted to totally get stratified all day long by her. But I agree with you in the ring. I think she's overrated. She wasn't a draw. I know they give that whole crap where her and Lita main evented the first Raw for women and all that stuff. And I agree, man. She's a very overrated performer in a lot of ways. You know, and partially you really can't blame them. They didn't, like you said, they didn't have a lot of talent in the ring like they do now, with the exception of her and Lita and Victoria. I agree.
But I will give them credit, though. I loved her and Lita's tag match at Evolution.
It wasn't bad. It actually wasn't. If you can get a good match out of Alicia Fox, man, I'll give them that.
The number 1 most overrated wrestler of all time, and this is one of the few wrestlers I genuinely hate, and not for that reason, which you'll understand, Chris Benoit.
Hit me with it. Let me hear.
For me, it's like wrestling's more than just being really good at doing convincing looking moves. Like, you've got to be able to work a crowd and sell and the whole theatric stuff. Whereas Benoit would just waddle to the ring like a crappy creative wrestler from an early SmackDown game. He would barely acknowledge the crowd, and he would just sort of look at them and go. And then he would do all the usual suplex stuff while he worked really stiff, which never makes any sense to me either. And look what he did to himself, and he's another one who kind of had the same match again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. You know who I would throw in there with one of the number one most overrated people I think you missed too? Jeff Jarrett.
To me, he's exactly rated as what he should be. He's a total nah.
Him being a Hall of Famer, to me, the guy got himself over by holding people up for money. To me, he's my number one most overrated. For WCW, when you look at the end of WCW, it was the Jeff Jarrett era. And Vince Russo, I love him to death, and I'll plug him all day for a lot of things. That was one of the dumbest things he ever did, was putting that schmuck over. And then he went to TNA, and he wrote himself the champion about 1 million times. And, yeah, man. Name to me was a joke.
Yeah.
Kurt Angle should have let Kurt Angle snap his goddamn leg when he was banging his wife, man.
Yeah. And apart from Jarrett versus Shawn Michaels, I honestly can't think of a classic Jeff Jarrett match.
I couldn't think of any. I couldn't think of the Shawn Michaels. I have to go back and look that up now that you told me.
Oh, you've got to see that match. That's okay. From In Your House 2.
I'll have to check that one out then and see, because I can't think of a good Jeff Jarrett match. The best was when Hogan just put his foot on him, man, because that's what he was worth to me.
So what's your take on Benoit?
Man, I would agree on a lot of things. Benoit was great in the ring in a lot of ways, but he was as stiff as can be. He was a terrible promo. He was emotionless. He was he looked like a stone cold sociopath, man. Like, he really did. And I mean, look what happened at the end of his life there. And I get the whole thing with, CTE and I never looked at Benoit in that light, and when I go back and I think about it, man, I can see a lot of the comparisons you're talking about, man, like going in there. Benoit never drew a dime, bro. Like either in the ring. And, for people to mention him in the Hall of Fame, I think is a joke, not just because of the murder stuff. Benoit never drew a dime, man. He got over in an era when they wanted to get the small guys over. Now, could Benoit have snapped my neck and put me in a crippler crossface? Yeah, okay, he could have. But I wasn't in the ring there. To me, it wasn't believable ever with him. I don't think he was as great of a wrestler as people gave him credit for. He had some great moments, but, I never looked at it in that light till you really put it in that way in a lot of ways. And I could definitely see some comparisons to being a very overrated character.
Yeah, stiff doesn't mean good.
Yeah.
Shall we go into the underrated list?
Let's hear it, man. I want to hear the underrated. Overrated, we can name 1 million overrated ones. Let's hear the underrated ones.
But again, these are ones that I'm not saying these this list is like they're 5-star classic wrestlers, but I just think these are wrestlers that really don't get the credit or put on the list of great talent,
Mm-hmm.
In at number 5, and this is not a joke, Nikki Bella.
Oh, Jesus, bro. No, you hit me with that one. I got it.
But I just think that as soon as they went to this whole Divas Revolution and the women started getting more than 90 seconds for a match, that's when, now, Brie Bella, I think, is terrible. And a lot of the criticism she gets, she deserves. But Nikki, and the fact, when you consider that she's coming back from 2 neck surgeries, she can work and take bumps, and then she's good on the mic and stuff. I just think that she doesn't get enough credit. And I think, not to be all super liberal, but I think because of her looks, she doesn't get enough credit.
The Bellas and me, bro, I think they're both the worst. Bree's the worst damn worker in the ring, followed by Nikki's gotten much better than she was. She's got, I love her entrance and all that. She's a good looking woman. The Ronda brought the best out in them, man. I can't say much nice about the Bellas except Nikki looks really good. So let me hear number 4. I got to hear number 4, man. The Bellas took me back there Nikki Bella took me back for a second. Let me hear number 4. I got to hear this one.
Number 4, I think the most underrated of all time, Hulk Hogan.
Oh, interesting. Good. Everybody always says overrated, man. I want to hear underrated. And I'm a Hogan mark, bro. I'll just say that.
Well, yeah, me too. I think that Hulk Hogan is the greatest worker ever. Like, nobody ever worked like Hogan. when he did have a good match, it's usually 5-star brilliant.
You see somebody that could tell a story in the ring. Some of my favorite WrestleMania moments of all time is Hogan and Andre, man. You weren't going to get a 5-star Dave Meltzer jerk session from that, man. You know, like that, you're not going to get that, man. This is not going to happen. But man, look at the crowd of that going crazy. Think about the iconic moments that Hulk Hogan brought out, and people crap on him because he's not doing flippity flips and all that crap all the time. Hogan is a stud. The business would not be the same. There would be no wrestling business if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan, man. And he sat over there and had a decent showing with a 60-some-odd-year-old Vince McMahon, and Hogan wasn't the greatest guy in the ring either, you know, and he knew how to play to the crowd. Now, did he have a lot of stinkers, man? You're damn right he did, man. Look at Age in the Cage with him and Piper, him and Warrior at Halloween Havoc that year. Some of the worst matches of all time, man. But because he doesn't do every flip in the world, man, and go do these crazy moves that's going to kill himself, man, the writers like Alvarez and Meltzer and Keller and all the put him over, man, and they try to bury him. Tell me anybody who's drew more money in the business than Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, or The Rock, man. Come on.
Brie Bella.
No matter how we look at him in a lot of ways. He buried TNA to the end, but he's the smartest businessman in the world, too.
The number 3 most underrated wrestler of all time, I've got to go with Sheamus.
Yeah, no, that's a great one right there, man. I agree.
I think for me, the way to really choose if a wrestler is good is that if you can fill up a DVD disc of their matches, and that's 3 hours of material, then they're officially good. And Sheamus has had some absolute classics.
Is he a Grand Slam winner too yet, or is he missing one or maybe one of the belts?
No, I think he is Grand Slam.
Yeah, I think he's held every damn belt out there, man. I love what he's doing with the bar with Cesaro there on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I always say, do you remember that match he had with Roman Reigns at TLC?
Sure.
They and you can see the welts in their body, and it's like, this is a great match, but all the fans want to do is, why aren't they pushing somebody else?
Why are we getting Sheamus and Roman?
Why are they pushing the guy that we wanted to get pushed? I want something else to happen.
And you know, Sheamus had some great with Triple H too, man.
Yeah.
They beat the snot out of each other, man. Sheamus and Cena, when Sheamus was just young coming out there, man. I agree 100%, man. I don't know why he's still in the tag division there. I know they're trying to do something with him and Cesaro and stuff. But to me, Sheamus could all day still be a guy if they just gave him a little bit of an angle again. He could be a guy right in the main event picture on either show, man. He's believable. He's a beast in the ring. He's a durable guy for the most part.
Yeah, and Irish.
I knew maybe the Irish had a little bit of a bias there for you, but it's okay. We'll give it that. I agree with Sheamus, man. I say that all the time to people. People dump on him.
At number 2, I'm going with Booker T.
Absolutely.
I think, now I'll be honest, when he got injured in like later 1999 in WCW, he really never was as good again.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean he was bad. And I think that, like, just as a wrestler, he was great. But then when he went to King Booker,
mm-hmm.
Well, this is one of the greatest characters that there's ever been, King Booker.
And he got that.
I'll tell you a quick Booker T story, and this shows you how dumb alcohol can make people. I went to a SmackDown show in Belfast.
Uh-huh.
And Booker T's making his entrance as King Booker, and some drunk arsehole guy leaned over the front railing and got to maybe this close to Booker T's face and yelled the M-word right into his face. So Booker T just stopped, took his crown off, took his cape off, and just turned around and stared at the guy like that in his face. And the guy's legs literally went like that, and he like passed out backwards into his friends, who then dragged them out of there because I was like, he will kill you.
He will more than kill you. And he is one of the most giving guys in the business too. You know, when you look at Hogan and everybody crap mistake, Booker was the one that sat over there and remember how when Booker said the N-word on the WCW television back in the day, how Hogan was the one that told everybody to knock Barry's ass. And he remembered that all those years. His feud with Austin, man, that he had when he first came over, badass, man. He could get in a ring now and kick everybody's ass in that ring probably if he wanted to still.
Yeah, he's in amazing shape. And plus, I say to people, find me a bad Booker T and Goldust tag team match.
Yep.
You can't. They were brilliant tag team.
He was great in everything he did, man. He carried Stevie Ray's ass for 10 years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Uh-huh. Brother or not, he carried his brother around, man. Booker T's one of the greats, man. Doesn't get enough credit all day.
Yeah, and when you listen to Booker T's podcast, he's hilariously, genuinely mentally ill. It's just brilliant. The number one most underrated wrestler of all time. Edge.
Very, 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 very true.
I think that too many people focus on his gimmick matches and not on his technical matches. Like, look at that match he had with Kurt Angle.
Yep.
Or the matches he had with, like, Eddie Guerrero.
Yep.
Undertaker. And it's just, like, he had so many matches that didn't involve tables that are just, like... do you remember his match that he had with Dolph Ziggler at the Royal Rumble just before he retired?
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing.
Edge mark all day here, man. I love the guy, and I agree with you. He could do it at tag team. He could do it in the ring. He could do it on the mic. He was well-rounded. He was one of the greats, bro. Hands down.
And thankfully, when I met him, he was also a really nice guy too.
I met him years ago too, and he was as nice as can be too when I met him for like 2 minutes, man. He was so kind to everybody when I saw him when I was younger. Loved him, man. He was a great guy. I'll throw another one at you for most underrated, The Miz, man. We talked about him earlier. People don't give the guy enough credit, man. Like, he's one of the best on the mic. Everybody, when he first came in for the whole Real World thing and for being green, and he stunk in the beginning. They wouldn't let him look at Chris Benoit, wouldn't let him dress in the dressing room for like almost a year, you know, for some. He had a little bit of an underwhelming title reign that he had there. Never got the belt back, but totally deserved it, man. Like, freaking Miz has been a staple. He's never been injured, never been hurt. He should be the champ right now. He'll be the one to beat AJ Styles, I think. And he'll go on and carry Bryan into a feud into Mania.
I hope so, but
I agree, man. I don't like Daniel Bryan at all. I think he's lame as a character. A long time ago. Like, his comeback has been underwhelming. I don't want to see Daniel Bryan as the champ, man. Like, I don't want to see it. The guy's a puny little runt.
And plus, Daniel Bryan seems like a dick in real life.
Well, when all he does is eat plants all the time, I don't know. He's got to be a grouchy bastard, man. I need a steak, man, to get me going. And
apparently he's complaining about his schedule. It's like, this is what you begged for years to come back. Like, if I was Daniel Bryan and I just had that kid, did you know that there's a contractual stipulation that if you happen to get injured in a WWE ring and you're forced into retirement, they have to pay you that salary forever until you quit? So Daniel Bryan could have just stayed at home, worked for 2 hours every Tuesday, and then had 6 days off a week while getting paid probably over $500,000 just play with your daughter. Yet he complained about it, and now that he's back, he's complaining. You think?
Yeah, I know. And then but let's not to mention here, I'm not knocking a kid here, but he named his kid Birdie. Okay. And to name your kid, and he's married to Brie Bella, who's just one of my least favorite people of all time too. I'm not a Daniel Bryan mark. I never have been, man. I think he should have stayed away. His return has sucked. The Miz has carried his ass throughout the whole thing. And The Miz has a much better looking wife, too. I'll take Maurice all day long.
Oh, see, that's why I can't praise The Miz, because he's jealous of what me and Maurice have. Just as we come to the final question, and this is an important question.
Hit me with it, brother.
The Spice Girls are back. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Man, I like Scary Spice, man.
That's the incorrect answer. The answer you were looking for was Baby Spice. Oh, she seemed to watch back the Spice Girls videos from back in the day. That Baby Spice, she looks like she knows her way around a banana.
Just drop them right down there, man. Check out our show. We're on Twitter at WWR Podcast. We're on Google Play, iTunes, Hipcast, Wrestling with Reality. We're not the dipshits that have the name too there with the astronaut crap that their show sucks. We're the one with the cool little emblem there that we made there, but we're on the Creative Control Network. We're full of all the good shows there, man. You got to come on our show too. We're gonna bury that slimy piece of garbage, Glenn Gilberti, right into the ground, man. And we need to send a little message to Joe Feeney for this week because I'm tired of you, bro. I'm tired of Glenn burying the Creative Control Network, that talentless ass clown. Disco Inferno. He needs to take that disco duck that he had back in the day and shove it up his ass, man.
Exactly.
We're calling you out, Glenn, man. It's coming for you, brother. We really are, man. Me and Hughezy and the rest of the army, we're going to rid the world of the freaking Disco Inferno tyranny.
Okay, thank you, John. It's up for sure. We're going to talk about Christmas music. Remember, you can hear this on iTunes with the full music playing. Sarah, hello. All right, it'll be 2 seconds here.
Sounds good.
Don't worry.
There you go. That's much better.
This is perfect. Oh, my hair got ruined. Right, so you're ready to go?
I'm ready.
Well, Sarah, thanks for coming back on to do some Christmas music listing.
You're welcome.
And leave your fiance for me, says what?
Yeah, okay.
Don't make it awkward. Let's get on to the music talk. Okay, so we're going to do the top 10 Christmas songs of all time, yeah?
Yes, this was a hard one.
So how, so you'd be pretty much into Christmas music big time, yeah?
I'm hugely into Christmas music big time.
Yeah, because my thing is, I have this weird thing where I don't like it at all until November 1st, and then I can't get enough of it until Boxing Day.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to go near it at all.
Yeah, I'm the same. I hate it any time after Boxing Day. It shouldn't be allowed to be played.
But the thing is I go deep in it. Like there's a lot of obscure stuff that a lot of people haven't even heard of, and I go, get ready.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, so am I. I can't even believe when I look back at my list, I thought, no way.
Mine's going to be really boring compared to yours. I already know that.
So let's start in with your number 10. What have you got in at number 10 there, ex-girlfriend?
My number 10, future husband, is Thank God It's Christmas by Queen.
Weird that he wouldn't change the lyrics to Thank God It's a Cure for AIDS.
Come on, easy.
But yeah, I love that one.
It's a really good one.
But you do think that would have been a great Christmas gift for him as the cure for AIDS?
It would have been the best gift.
I'll do that joke again where do you ever think where people says, oh, Freddie, have you still got that Christmas cold? And he goes, oh, yeah, why? He says, well, because it's August. Oh, God.
Number 10, Hughezy.
At number 10, I'm going with a not as well-known one, which is bizarre to me. Christmas Time by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh.
Yes. And it's not even one of these, and it's what they actually did was, instead of it being like their usual sort of like hard rock sort of, it's an actual old-fashioned like Cliff Richardy type song.
I don't even think I've heard that.
Exactly. And that's it's so great. And I'll drop ye a link, so I will.
You will.
After this, but it's effing great.
Okay.
And I love the Pumpkins, and they're reforming soon. And latest rumor is they're going to be supporting the Foo Fighters on these gigs over here next year. So,
Oh, I miss all that stuff. I don't get anything over here like that.
But they shouldn't have moved to Iran then. It's hard, And I ran so far away. What have you got at number 9 there, big lad?
My number 9 is Christmas, Baby Please Come Home by Darlene Love.
Ah.
Snow's falling down, Christmas, I'm watching it fall.
You know, the thing about that song that's amazing is that's one of those songs that's impossible to be bad, if that makes sense, and that I've heard 70,000 covers of it, and they're all brilliant.
Yeah, I know, yeah. I just go ahead.
No, I'll let you go this time.
Oh, I don't even know what I was going to say.
Were you going to mention that it was in Goodfellas?
No, I wasn't going to mention that.
That's how I first became aware of it, because between the brutal scenes of brutal face beatings and oral sex scenes, I was like, now that's a Christmas song. You know, and the dinners and never mentioned I like Goodfellas.
Hughezy, what does your shirt say? Does it say rocking around the Christmas tree, or does it say something else?
Well, no, yeah, rocking around the Christmas tree.
Oh.
It's a Christmas shirt.
I thought I was going to say something dirty. I don't know why.
What, like, like, show your arse to Santa or some shit? The crack.
What's your number 9?
Number 9, I'm going with Last Christmas by the Manic Street Preachers.
Oh.
Have you heard this version?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah, it's because when I heard they were going to do it, I initially thought, oh, they're just going to tear the arse out of it, and it's going to be awful, and they're just going to like goof around and stuff. But it's your guy actually singing his arse off, and
yeah,
the Manics can sing their balls off.
They really can. Arses and balls.
Arses and balls, Christmas balls. But the thing, and I'm going to see the Manics again next year. They're supporting Bon Jovi.
How many times have you seen them?
The Manics?
Yeah.
Just the once, but I because the thing is, selfishly, I had a family member die when the Manics played Belfast before, so I had to go to their stupid gay funeral instead of going out rocking with the lads.
Rude. How dare they?
Never got along with my granny. But yeah, the Manics, Last Christmas by the Manics. And the thing is, it's not that I don't like the George Michael version, it's just that I've heard it infinite times.
I know, but that's what makes it so good.
True.
When you hear it, it makes you think of just like that video where they're all running through the snow and he's like putting the decorations on the tree and looking at that woman and like gives you the feels.
Yeah, especially because he looks at that woman and he's like, yeah.
I'm not attracted to her at all.
Yeah, it's not funny. And little did we know that in real life, all that snow was actually stuff he had imported from Colombia. So what have you got in there at your number 8 greatest song?
I feel like you're going to hate me for this one, but I have Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You.
I love that song.
Love it. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, no, that's another one of those, what I would call, I'm sure there's an actual term for it, but unplay-outable. Well, actually, that's not true. It is played out, but I still like... Out. Go ahead.
It's definitely played out a lot in these weeks. I think before like when you get to Christmas, you're kind of sick of listening to it. But when you first hear it, that first time you hear it over the Christmas season, it's like, yes.
What do you I take it you watch Love Actually?
Oh yeah.
Do you ever cringe though at that kids version of the song?
No.
Well, I do, and that's not a racial thing. Are you allowed to sing White Christmas anymore?
Yeah, you are.
Are you allowed to have a Black Friday?
You are.
I'd like it to happen at the same day. Well, I don't see color.
Well, don't put ideas in people's heads. Don't put ideas in snowflakes' heads.
I don't even sing Purple Rain anymore. But to tell you the thing about Love Actually, have you noticed how much of that film isn't actually necessary?
None of it's necessary.
Yeah, like that thing, not Alan Partridge. What's his name? Alan Rickman.
Oh yeah.
When the wife finds he gives her a CD on Christmas Eve and she cries, it's like, how does that mean he's cheating on you? Maybe he's saving it for Christmas Day. Ugly.
No.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Or why would I give her the great present the day before Christmas?
I cry at that scene, to be honest, Adam.
You know, another scene that I don't get is the entire storyline of the other ugly woman with the brother who has special needs.
Oh, yeah.
Why is she in that film? So she goes to see her brother in the hospital, horny as possible.
Yeah.
That's the moral of that story. She's probably ended up getting off of one of the security guards. What I've got in at number 8 is Hey Parker, It's Christmas by Ryan Adams.
Oh my God, these are so out there.
I'm mentally ill. This one,
Ryan Adams, huh? Ooh.
quite, and I definitely said Ryan, not Brian.
I know.
But this one I love because it's good.
Well, you can't argue with that.
And also the thing about it is it's almost impossible to get because it was a special B-side on a vinyl he put out ages ago. So it's never like, so the only recording of it left is a really, is one that was put up on YouTube.
Right.
And it's great. And I'll send you a link to it because I HD'd it up and it's wonderful.
I didn't really have you down as a Ryan Adams.
Oh, I love him. I went to see him last November and got in trouble at it. And that's all I'll say.
Oh, that doesn't sound surprising at all. My number 7 is a disappointing Last Christmas by the original Wham.
Is it Wham?
It is Wham, yeah.
I thought it was all Georgie Porgy.
No.
You know the interesting thing about the lyrics of that song? It's once he turned gay, or came out as gay, I should say, how great you could simply just change those lyrics around. So it could be, Last Christmas, I gave you my arse. And the very next day, you found out I'm gay. This year, I'm giving it to somebody anal.
How long did it take you to write that up?
Just hit me right there.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm getting a t-shirt made.
That should be next Christmas jumper, Adam.
Oh. You should, I can't say. My number 7 is, and this is another one of these ones that's kind of hard to get your hands off. December Will Be Magic Again by Kate Bush. Do you know?
Is this seriously your number 7 top 10 Christmas song of all time?
Well, yeah. Well, what I've tried to go for sort of like because the problem with Christmas songs is everybody loves the same songs.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to sort of go with ones that are more obscure yet also brilliant, but they're not all obscure. Like there's some ones that you're going to go, ah.
Well, we're at number 7 and all of these have been obscure.
Well, big time. No, but this one you got to check out because I love Kate Bush.
Yeah.
And this song, for some reason, she's never officially released herself. It was on, she did it on some BBC TV show. And it's amazing and it's brilliant. And she's stupid and she should really start responding to my emails.
She's stupid if she doesn't respond to your emails.
So what have you got in there at the whatever number we're at now? 6?
We're not number 6 and I have Bing Crosby. White Christmas.
The most racist of songs.
The most.
But yeah, I love this song. And it's almost like you can only play it with a whiskey.
Only with a whiskey.
And it's also something that my granny yells out of her window at her neighbours for the Ali family.
I thought your granny was dead.
The other one.
Oh.
This one, the one that knows how to take a punch. You know, speaking of Bing Crosby, you know that, of course, that legendary performance he did with David Bowie? Apparently he's drunk out of his mind during that.
Bing is?
Bing is totally hammered and Bowie was a bit, on the snow here. It was the 70s. You got to do stuff to have a bit of fun. This one's not so much obscure. My number 6, I'm going with You Make It Feel Like Christmas by Gwen Stefani.
Oh.
But the thing, I think this song would have been way bigger, way more of a hit had she actually released it around Christmas time, but she released it before Halloween last year.
Oh yeah. Why would she do that?
I have no idea. I think it's because she wanted to do like a Christmas tour and stuff.
No.
But she ended up just doing a bunch of No Doubt and solo covers. But yeah, this one I genuinely love. And she's another one that if I ever get the chance, well, you never know.
No, well.
I'm the Freddie Mercury. What have you got in there, number lovely 5?
5. I have 2 songs at number 5. I know that's kind of cheating, but I have "Merry Christmas, Everyone" by Shakin' Stevens.
Love it. Best
And
Christmas lyric ever. We're going to have a party tonight.
yeah,
Oh!
and "Step Into Christmas" by Elton John.
I've got a problem with Elton John.
Oh, what?
I went to see him last year at December at the Odyssey. It was like December 14th or whatever. And everybody was pumped up for it, and tickets like 90 quid, couldn't wait. He didn't play Step Into Christmas.
Oh, that's brutal.
It was demented because no one could believe it. And everybody I would say about 60% of the sold out audience was wearing Christmas jumpers and expecting like a Christmassy show. And after that, I fell out with him, and we've been at loggerheads ever since.
Yeah.
Plus, I heard he wears a wig, you know.
Oh, he's got a movie coming out next year. He doesn't. It's about him though. Rocket
Yeah.
Man.
I'm gonna go see it, but it's not looking good.
What do you mean?
It looks really over the top, and when you make films about people who are alive, then those people have too much input. Like in this one, his problem in the 70s would be that he was donating too much to charity.
Oh yeah, that's really what the problem was.
Sure, and in Bohemian Rhapsody, Freddie's big problem is that he drank too much.
Mm.
And it's like, you sure the problem wasn't that his arse leaked more than Julian Assange? See? In at number 5, I'm going with the insanely brilliant "Must Be Santa" by Bob Dylan.
Oh God.
You don't know this one?
I don't think I like this one. Can you play me a bit of it?
Absolutely not. But this one, because initially it starts off kind of cheesy, and it sounds like a drunk uncle at a dinner who won't shut his mentally ill mouth.
He normally does sound like that every time I hear him.
That's the thing I love about him these days, is he could write anything for lyrics, and people like it. Like, making a sandwich and cheese and toast and the government, and people go, yes, I get it. Do you get it? Of course I get it. I'm not stupid.
Yeah, that's so true.
Must Be Santa by Bob Dylan, and you can actually get a check. And how is he still alive as well?
He sounds terrible though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pay to go see him. I'm sorry.
Have you heard his cover of? Do you remember the TV show Birds of a Feather?
Oh yeah.
He did a cover of "What'll I Do When You Are Far Away?"
Wow.
Yeah, what'll I do? Did you remember how they used to sing that in the show as well? The cowboy, "When you're alone, the only free." Go, okay, ugly no-lit bitch. What did we get in there at number 4?
I've got an old-fashioned Nat King Cole, the Christmas song.
Oh.
This warms the cockles of your heart.
Warms the heart of your what?
Heart.
Seriously though, like this song's brilliant, but how long do you think the meeting took to name the song?
It took forever.
And then the fact that he's, from not going to do much to the theory that certain people think those people. Oh, leave your fiance for me says what? Well, at my number 4, and this is another one that you can't buy anywhere, which is insane. "Christmas Vacation" by Mavis Staples.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you believe you can't buy that?
I can't believe that.
But how do they not? Like every year I look forward to watching that bit in the opening credits of the film when Santa has got his what do you call that thing? The stick, the candy cane.
Yeah.
He's sliding down the lights, and it was the. And of course, she was in a Prince's band for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, in the early 90s, and then she left because like she's an old woman, and they're all shagging groupies all day in front of her, and she was like, "How many arseholes do I need to see before somebody takes a hit?" What have you got at number 3?
Another old one. I got "It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year" by Andy Williams.
Love it.
Great song.
It's brilliant. But it's got that weird lyric where he goes, there'll be scary ghost stories and telling stories of old. It's like ghost stories at Christmas. Like, you must be fun at parties.
Are you sure that's what it is? There'll be stories. Oh yeah, it is. There's
Yeah.
the glories of Christmases long,
Long
long.
time ago.
Christmas of the what do you call it? Not movie.
Sleepers.
Carol. Christmas past and future and all that stuff. It's kind of like that.
Back to the Future.
Mm.
No, yeah, that's actually a good point. Huh. But I think there's a chance Andy Williams as well had the greatest male singing voice ever.
I actually think Nat King Cole did, but Andy Williams was. He used to do these Christmas shows. Have you seen any of those? Like, he used to do these shows that went on TV. I wish I could have lived in those days where they did all the dancing and like the songs and stuff on the stage, and everyone was watching it and they'd record it for TV.
Yeah, but you can't do them anymore because everything's offensive. Like, if you dance, did you know that? I don't know if you heard about this. Strictly Come Dancing is being labelled offensive to people in wheelchairs.
Is that? No, it's not. That can't be true.
It is. There's like a campaign. It's like, oh, they need to include more. It's like, how long do you want every TV show to be 17 hours long?
Yeah, really.
At number 3, I'm going with, from the legendary Funky Christmas album, Please Come Home for Christmas by James Brown.
Oh, I thought you were going to put in, I knew you were going to put this song in, but I thought you were going to go with Bon Jovi.
No, well, that one I love, but this version I think is better because because people never really talk about James Brown's singing voice. Let's talk about his movie.
Yeah.
But this one you can hear how great he can actually sing, and he's actually not talking. He doesn't say funk or dance throughout the whole song, and it's like you've got to hear this. And also on that album, he's got Santa Claus, Please Go Straight to the Ghetto, which is also brilliant. And would you like to know something interesting about James Brown?
Mm-hmm.
He never wrote lyrics and didn't know how to play music. He would just literally tell people what to play. He's like, you gotta play it like this, and he would improvise the lyrics on the spot.
Oh my God.
Brilliant.
That's why I kept going.
Yeah. And that's why you can even hear him counting people in songs. What did you get in there at number 2 for the greatest Christmas song of all time?
Driving Home for Christmas.
Ah, yes.
Brilliant song. Every time I hear it, I just get so excited. Yeah. I am coming home for Christmas, but I'm not driving home. I'm flying home.
And then, then a taxi driver's driving you home for Christmas.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I love that song. And ironically, have you seen the music video that was actually made for it about 2 decades after it was released as a single?
Yes, the one with they're on a bus and yes. Who's the one that's in it? Who's the woman that's in it?
There's
or something.
Yeah, they had a whole bunch of like reality TV slobs and all that stuff in it.
So bad.
Yeah, but I love that song. But you know who actually? Did you ever watch Gavin and Stacey when it was on?
Yeah, I did. Bits of it, not like
Uncle Bloody Britain. He sang it in the bloody show. And yeah, he actually did. Oh, by the way, have you ever heard? I'm gonna get angry now. Have you ever heard the Gavin and Stacey cover version of Islands in the Stream that they did for comic relief for children in need or something?
Oh, but I
They do this thing that annoys me in novelty songs where the characters in the show have to mention the other one's name. They go, "Are you ready, Nessa?"
Yeah.
Yes. And I was just like, how did nobody get stabbed when this came out? At number 2, the greatest Christmas song of all time, Fairy Tale of New York by the Pogues.
Oh.
Now, I don't know, I've kept this pretty subtle
That came out
over the years, but I'm Irish.
And
I love a drink.
You love the crack.
I love the crack. I love to have fun. I love to get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what this song's all about. It's about somebody being arrested for being drunk.
Yeah, I'm just praising them for that.
Yeah, and it's just, I think not only is it, this is one of the greatest songs ever written.
Yeah.
And it's Irish, and they're not afraid to, say that word and
No.
get
Jordan
afraid.
King did this one. He did a version of this one, and they changed that word to maggot.
Yeah. And ironically, Ed Sheeran did a cover last year, and he didn't say that word, which is weird because he is one, if you ask me.
Oh, fuck yeah, he did do this.
Ed Sheeran got the Christmas #1, Fairy Tale New York, and the Pogues didn't.
Oh, that's disgusting.
So what's the #1?
What's your number? Oh yeah, you give me your number 2. My #1 was actually Fairy Tale of New York.
You know, the interesting thing about this song is that it's Irish. It's about being arrested. It's about drinking,
By praising everyone.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to say that word.
Word.
Did you know that Ronan Keating did a cover version of it?
So did Ed Sheeran. I'm surprised he didn't use that word.
Yeah, which is weird because he is one. Am I right?
Ed Sheeran got that #1 last year with this song, and the Pogues didn't.
That's ridiculous. Did you know that I've got Shane McGowan possibly on the
podcast? What's your #1?
Before I get to #1, do you think that snowflakes get offended by Christmas?
Absolutely.
Good. Because my #1 Christmas song of all time at the minute, Another Rock and Roll Christmas by Gary Glitter.
Oh.
Yeah.
I forgot about this song, and it's actually really good, but you can't, Hughezy.
See, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, child abuse is wrong. I know you think it's hilarious and stuff like that, and you're always updating memes about it and stuff on your Instagram story, but for me personally, I think child abuse is wrong. But this song is class. And
is he still living in like the Philippines, or is he arrested or is he dead?
No, he's still living out in Thailand or something.
Yeah, he's married like an 11-year-old or something crazy like that.
And do you want to know the thing that drives me mad? He made a fortune from Oasis. Because do you know the song they did called Hello?
Yes.
Well, that sampled, you know, the one, it's good to be back, it's good to be back. You know that song?
That came from...
Yes, they sampled that from a Gary Glitter song. So he got a big chunk of money from them. And that album still sells loads. So Gary Glitter bought a bunch of his wives from Oasis money.
Wow.
But at the same time, I love this song. I
actually forgot all about this song.
Yeah, and good luck trying to buy it.
You wouldn't be. No, I wouldn't be able to.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't be able to buy it.
Well, physically or morally?
Both.
Well, you never know. Maybe the kids were flirting with him.
Stop it.
No, but seriously, that song is. I was about to say it's the saddest thing about all the stuff you went through that song's gone, but obviously, you know, the brutalized children. To me, that's a bad thing. But this song is just perfect.
You think it's better than the Fairy Tale in New York, though?
Only because it's not as played as much.
Yeah, you can say that again. It's not played ever.
Well, not maybe in Thailand, where it's pronounced another.
Okay, sounds good.
And we'll go for the ceremonial turning of the lights off of this jumper. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, up next is the brilliant Jim Florentine. I can't believe I got him. The guy was just brilliant. All you have to do is say one word to him, and he's on. And just before anybody gets all offended and triggered by certain words a grown-ups say, we're joking around, okay? Just because we say a certain word doesn't mean we hate everybody. So calm down and grow up. Jim Florentine, hello. So, Jim Florentine, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm glad this isn't a long-distance call for me. You know? Yeah. I don't have an international plan yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, maybe if I was banging some chick in Ireland, I would, but I don't, so.
Well, if you ever are banging a chick from Ireland, don't look at their face, and please, Jesus, wear a condom.
You know what? My experience with Ireland women are, because they would come over to the States and work like on the beach, like a beach resort town in New Jersey. So they would come over for the summer and live here. All they want to do is drink all night, and then they don't at the end of the night.
Yeah, you know why?
Why? Is that what it is? Well, I'm not putting in an order.
Oh, but that's the thing. But then they also get a thing called.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, can we just at night and then go out drinking?
See, that's why me and you get along. Why can't they just grow up and do what we say?
Early before we go out, and then we're playing with house money the rest of the night. Then we can do whatever we want. There's no pressure.
And plus, what's the deal with these ones that don't like it? Because the thing is this, is like, do you want it in the or do you want pregnant?
Well, that's look, that generation that like this is starting to grow up and get married and have kids. They were the girls from about 10 years ago that were all tatted up and got ink all over, and you know, 32, 34, and they go, I got to get married and have a couple of kids. So they're off the market now. So this new generation, all they do is look into their phone. You know what I mean? So they're not interested in taking, because they got too much entertainment on their phone. When you're bored, you're like, you might have nothing else to do. You know, so this new generation. So, but those girls that would took because they're train wrecks. So they'll have like a kid or two, and they'll be divorced, and they'll be back out there. We just got to wait it out.
But the thing that also makes me laugh is how much it's so common now. It's like, no, I didn't want to sleep with him, so we just watched the Netflix and.
Well, yeah. Look, I've been a big fan of that for years.
Netflix.
You know, no, fuck that. You know, well, no, I don't. There's no reason to watch Netflix and then try to hook up. It's like this. I don't want a TV on. You know what I mean? Put some music on. I don't need an action flick. As I'm trying to think of my next door neighbor instead of this chick that I'm with. It fucks up my concentration. So I don't want Netflix on when
God.
So, but it's not for everyone, but there are some, and sometimes you got to convince the girl. I'm like, look, just go take a, and then I'll do it. You know what I mean? I'm not, if you come out of the newspaper, if you come out of the bathroom with a newspaper under your arm and go, you got any matches? I'll know to lay off.
Oh my God.
That's probably not a good time to do it.
I'm not used to talking to people who are actually funny.
Well, look, I'm just, you just be honest about it instead of just dancing around every issue. And, that's what everyone does in America now. They're all afraid to speak their mind about anything. They're afraid they're going to get in trouble.
Which brings me to my first question. Is it tough being a comedian in these insanely PC times? And the reason why I ask is, like, you could tell a joke about dating a fat black woman, and it's like a race. They're like, oh, I got there first. That was racist. There's like, oh, shit. Body shaming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's some stuff you got to adjust. The one thing I've noticed, the comedy clubs, at least in the comedy clubs, people are not walking out being offended. So it's mostly the media driving this stuff that everyone's offended. There's a few people on Twitter get offended, and then they just start, retweeting everything. So it's not really hit the comedy clubs. But yeah, as far as going on TV and doing comedy on like a late night talk show or something like that, yeah, you're going to be completely censored. And you're not going to be able to tell a joke about. So that's good. That's a problem. And a Netflix special, who knows, like how racial you can get. I mean, look, I saw what's his face, Ricky Gervais' special. I thought it was great, man. He took some chances. He was. He got a lot of flack. He's like, I don't care. I got my own built-in audience. I don't need Hollywood or anybody.
Yeah, and then also, but the thing about people who get offended, they tend to make up stuff to be offended by. Like, I don't know if you've seen these geeks protesting Anthony Cumia's book signing last night.
No, they weren't. Why?
Because Well, that's the thing, because they're calling him a white supremacist, and it's like, how many Italians that hire black people also are members of the Klan?
That's the thing in America. If you like Donald Trump, or you're not completely, a super far left liberal, then you're a white supremacist. There's people on TV on like CNN here going, if this woman was on the other night, some reporter, she goes, if you're a white woman and you support Donald Trump, you're a racist. Okay, so I don't know, how. So, but then they just like to throw around white supremacist, racist. That's all they do. It has nothing to do with that. He just, he puts facts out there about Chicago, whatever like that, and people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that. All the murders and stuff like that. So all of a sudden he just gets viewed as a white supremacist, and he does stuff with Alex Jones. So then all of a sudden he's a white supremacist. I just got his book 2 minutes ago. I just opened it up. I got it in the mail. I can't wait to read it.
Tell me this, but is it also tough being a comedian around non-comedians, because they're always probably trying to make you laugh?
No, well, they try, and then I just give them a look like no expression on my face, and then they realize, whoa, all right, I better stop. You know what I mean? So I don't usually get that too much. I'm like, dude, you don't have to try to be funny. It's okay. You know what I mean? If you're a doctor, I'm not going to ask you to at a baseball game.
It would be funny though if you asked them to do a prostate check.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know if my health insurance covers it.
But that's the thing, because I used to be an editor.
Okay.
And people would start talking to you like you're Stanley Kubrick, and it's like,
yeah, no, I know. You got to just shoot that shit down. When people like on a plane go, hey, what do you do for a living? I just go, I mow lawns. Because if you say that, they have no comeback. They can't come up with anything else. So if I tell them I'm a comic, they'll go on. You got an agent? What do you go like? Just travel around the country? Who comes up with your material? So you just go, yeah, I cut lawns.
Yeah, what's
I'm a landscaper.
Yeah, well, what's Eddie Murphy like? Are you best friends with Eddie Murphy? And you're like, no, I don't hang out.
I never met him. Never met him. We don't hang in the same circles. He did his stand-up. You know what? He did 2 comedy specials. He did a bunch of funny movies, and now he does kids movies. And he doesn't want to ruin that legacy by going back and doing stand-up, because he'll never top those first 2 specials. And he's got like 17 kids from like 6 women. So he's got a lot of bills and baby mamas to pay off. So he's like, I'll do this kids movie. I'll make, I'll do a voice in an animation movie and make 20 million and be done. So I understand. He's like, that's what I want to do. So I got no problem with it. I'm not looking for Eddie Murphy to come back.
Well, I honestly wouldn't mind the Beverly Hills Cop 4. I've got to admit.
Yeah, I mean, that would be good. 48 hours. Nick Nolte. That would be great too.
He actually definitely is making a Coming to America too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understand he wants to protect his legacy, because if he comes out a comedy or he does a stand-up special and it's really bad, it's going to be like, oh man, you should have just left. When he's got all that money, he makes like $20 million or $10 to $20 million to do a voice in an animation. Just goes in a recording studio for like a week, and then he walks away with that kind of check. It's like, do you really want to go out and slug it out in the clubs, the comedy clubs, and try to work out material,
Yeah. But tell me this, speaking of material, do you think that jokes about Donald Trump are boring? Yeah.
They were boring after the second day he was in office.
Yeah.
It's a joke that, when comics are doing it, it's like anybody can do them. Your plumber on Facebook is doing those jokes. You know what I mean? Like a good comic knows if a topic is touched on too much, to move on and talk about something else. You know what I mean? That's what a good comic does. Like, all right, everyone's talking about that, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore. That's kind of hack, and then, and you still got guys doing it. Like, it's when I see somebody doing in LA, every comic goes on stage, goes, I just say something first. It's an applause break. Wow, real creative. Why don't you just say, give it up for the troops? Can you kiss the audience's ass anymore?
But I've literally heard one joke about Donald Trump that made me laugh, and it was that Seth Meyers.
Yeah, what did he say?
He says Donald Trump used to appear as a talking head on Fox News, but now he appears on the news talking with a fox on his head.
That's funny. Like, that's a good roast joke, for him. Nobody in the States watches any of those late night talk shows anymore, because all they do is 8 minutes of Trump jokes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's the same punchline. Trump did something crazy. He's stupid. He's ignorant. Whatever. And then they're preaching to you, and they're crying, and they're monologues. David Letterman was on, and Jay Leno, even Johnny Carson. They were just fucking funny. They just told jokes. They did good interviews. So nobody's watching that garbage anymore because of all that stuff.
But they're
all doing the same jokes.
But that fat pig, James Corden, the fact that he got hired to do the same job as David Letterman actually hurts to think about that.
Oh yeah, he's horrific, and you know, because he has an accent. That's what America loves, someone an accent. But they think it's carpool karaoke. It's worse than 9/11. It stinks.
I'd rather go to a funeral than go to a James Corden comedy show.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so bad.
How is James Corden not being called out for homophobia? Because his go-to joke is pretending to be gay, and it's like, well, what's so funny about that? What's wrong with gay people?
Pretending?
Yeah.
Please. I mean, come on. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, I know. Whenever someone goes, he's married with kids, I goes, so's John Travolta. I just throw that one out there every time. So, yeah, oh no, yeah. Well, he could probably get away with it because everybody knows what his lifestyle really is. And if he has to, he'll just go, well, I'm gay if he gets in trouble, just like Kevin Spacey when he was, he was hitting on all these guys and all that. Do that.
Yeah, but see that James Corden, see if I ever got my chance to get my hands on him, he would have.
I know not one person in the United States watches James Corden. Nobody. I don't know anyone. Did you see James Corden last night? No, nobody says that.
Yeah, he's the biggest pussy since Jenna Jameson's latest film. Yeah,
pretty much. Like, you want someone with an edge in late night. You know what I mean? Like David Letterman had an edge. You know what I mean? Just making the same Trump jokes. Like, you wouldn't know. Like, if someone sent you a Trump joke the next morning, you wouldn't know what late night show it came from. That's how watered down all that.
Maybe or at least in the top 3 greatest comedians of all time, is Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the fact that he's had to kind of tame down his act these days?
He hasn't toned it down at all. He's just as vicious as ever, just as dirty, on stage, and doesn't give a shit. Just filthy as ever. He hasn't, but he's somehow, he'll still get movie roles and all that stuff. He's a great actor too.
Yeah.
And he's a great look. He got blackballed back in the early '90s, man. When he hit, they went after him. He was a white male, so they said he's easy to attack, and he's making fun of women and stuff like that. And almost.
Morning, he goes, "Hey, Lady Gaga, nice ass, you dirty hooer."
I mean, I don't know. Bradley Cooper was a big fan of his. Like, he told me that Bradley Cooper's mom took him to see him, like, when he was a kid, when Dice was doing arenas back in the early '90s. So Bradley Cooper's been a fan his whole life, and he was directing the film. He's like, I want Dice to play Lady Gaga's dad. So,
Bradley Cooper took his mom to see Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, that too. Yep. Yeah. Good for him. He seems like a cool dude. Yeah. He doesn't seem like he's all like, Mr. Hollywood, left-leaning liberal, crying about everything. He's just like, hey, man, I'm just a.
I was going to see Guns N' Roses. I'd take some blonde hooer with big tits and no brain. Oh! But
sometimes you don't want to take a chick to a concert, man, because then, it might be too high maintenance, You just want to have some beer. my feet hurt. I'm like, my feet have never hurt ever wearing shoes.
But speaking of, like, we were talking about Dice and a bit of a backlash. What did you think about the backlash that came from Norm Macdonald in the Netflix special?
I think he was messing with everybody. I think he was just playing a deadpan, and he's just fucking. I really think he was.
That he kind of crossed the line when he said about when he goes, hey, if I actually believed that stuff, I would have to have Down syndrome.
Yeah, it was funny because, yeah, exactly. When he said that, he goes, "Oh, serious?" And I'd have to have Down syndrome. And he's like, I was going to say the R word, the retarded, but I didn't want to say the R word, so I said Down. He's just to believe that, you know what I mean? He knows what he's doing.
So talk to me. Of course, I've seen you acting a few times with Amy Schumer, and she's been accused a lot of joke stealing. So what's your take on those accusations and comedians who steal jokes in general?
No, I mean, look, I don't like any comedians that steal. I don't think she did. There's a lot of, parallel thinking out there, and, it could be writers on her show might have saw a sketch. That happens a lot. These writers, they can't come up with anything at their writing job for a comedy show. We'll come into a comedy club and they'll lift like a whole sketch. Like if I talk, so these writers, these staff writers on these comedy shows will go into a comedy club and they'll just lift like a comic's material and put it in a sketch or whatever. And they'll see something on YouTube or on the internet. And, if they just present it, hey, what about this sketch? Like, oh, that's great. Yeah, let's try to do this. So she doesn't really know where it's coming from. So I know her. She's not the type. She hangs out with all the comics and stuff. And she knows that, like, that's the worst thing you could do as a comic. I know there's a lot of videos, I guess, out there and stuff like that with similar stuff. But I would say she didn't do it.
Do you think it was more just a case of people going after her because she was the new top comedian?
Yeah, absolutely. They always try to knock the top person down, and all of a sudden for some reason, as soon as they hit the top, they try to knock you down, and then they're just going through all your material. Look, I'm sure I have jokes on some of my albums that maybe George Carlin had something similar that did way before me or some other comic. You don't know. When I come up with a joke, I go, well, this is what happened to me, and I'm going to try to make this funny. I don't know if any other comic ever talked about that, but it just exactly what happened to me, so I'm going to.
Well, would you like to hear the funniest line ever that I heard from a feminist comedian, which is why I stopped doing comedy?
Yeah.
Okay, now you might want to sit down and brace your sides here, Jim, because this will probably blow your house up.
All right.
She says, so a guy from work asked me to add him on Snapchat. Yeah, that's what I need. Another way for him to demean me. And it got an applause break.
Oof.
And I just thought, I can't go up there and do my jokes about like sex and stuff because I'll be finished.
Well, it depends where you're doing your material. I'm sure that was in some, I don't know where that was, but certain areas in a country or wherever, that joke's going to work. Other areas, they're just going to stare at you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, and probably New York or Brooklyn, where they're like hipsters, liberal, they'll laugh at that. They'll find that funny. You go to middle America and you try that joke, they'll be like, okay, all right, okay, we get it. Was that a joke? So yeah, it'd be the same thing if I went up there. I go, yeah, I want to date another woman, but I just know that she's gonna just emasculate me, and I'm just gonna be a pussy, and I'm just gonna have to, just listen to what you say and be a little puppy boy. Nobody would laugh at that. That's the same joke. All you got to do is stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't need to be demeaned. If the guy does it, says, hey, why don't you send me a naked picture? I did.
Liberals working on building sites where someone goes, "Hey, I deserve your right to vote."
No, they'll never, because they don't.
And speaking of, just as we're coming up to the last few questions here, we all know you're a big Ed Sheeran fan and you love Pink and Taylor Swift. But let's talk about rock and roll for a minute, yeah?
Yeah, I love all of those.
Well, so Brian Johnson is back with AC/DC. Like, he's been seen outside the recording studio with them in Canada. So,
yeah,
do you think this is going to be it for AC/DC?
Who knows what's going on? I mean, and Phil Rudd was there too, which is, that's great that he can leave he can leave New Zealand now, because I know he's under house arrest and all this other. Do 30 shows there. I know the original thing was, the last tour was they're going to do 40 shows around the world to celebrate 40 years, and they were going to call quits. But Angus knows there's a lot of money out there. There's a ton of money. You can get $300 a ticket. You know what I mean? These, the Rolling Stones are going to start doing stadiums again in the United States in a few months. So he doesn't want to retire. He's like, this. A week. So I think they're going to do another album and maybe do 40 shows, and they'll do one a week, and they'll just do big festivals and big stadiums, and then call it a day.
But
because Brian's 69 years old. Angus is only 61, so he's like the baby in the band.
Do you know how happy Brian Johnson must be to be 69?
Absolutely.
He'd probably walk around going, "Do you know what age I am, lads? 69.
No, they're great. I love, AC/DC is one of my favorite bands of all time. I've seen them a million times. And,
and then when the album does come out, they play 1 or 2 songs from it on the tour.
Yeah, well, they usually do about 3. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're old school. They can't do a tour without a new album. A lot of bands don't need to do that anymore because not a lot of people are buying the records. And they're obviously not as good as the classics. But, that's just the way they like to do things. Put a new album out, play 3 or 4 songs, and then play the old ones, because you don't want to play too many new songs.
Well, speaking of classic bands that are ending soon, are you into Kiss?
Not really. I mean, I respect them, but not really. I was never a big Kiss fan. I kind of missed the boat on them.
How is Paul Stanley straight?
How is Paul Stanley straight?
Yeah.
Is he? I don't know.
Apparently he's banged thousands and thousands of women, but it's like James Corden's got a wife too.
Yeah, well, yeah. And anyone that's always around a lot of girls, like Penthouse Pets and in a closet. So who knows? I mean, I know Paul Stanley does have a family, but John Travolta's married. Just always go back to that. And when you go, well, he's married. Yeah, so's John Travolta. Okay, well, all right, you got me there.
Yeah, Elton John had a wife for a while.
I want to, he's trying to be straight, but he's like, it's not working for me.
So I got to ask you just one of the last 2 questions here. When I first became aware of you, it was from the Howard Stern appearances and on Opie and Anthony. Personally, I always preferred Opie and Anthony. So I got to ask you, what's your take on the feud between Opie and Anthony, and the fact that Opie seems to have a lot of feuds going on with a lot of people?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm friends with all of them. I'm friends with Opie. I'm friends with Anthony. And I'm really good friends with Jim. He's one of my best friends. So it's like, I never get in the middle of but now now he's on Anthony's side. So I don't know, man. Back in the day when Jim was on Opie and Anthony and Jim was a sidekick, I was going on Howard Stern, and they hated each other, the two shows. And me and Jim were living together. We were roommates, and we were like, man, I'm staying out of this. They were at each other's throats, man. And you couldn't do both shows. You could only do one or the other if you were a comic. And Stern took a liking to me, so I was on his show, and Jim was on Opie and Anthony, and they were trashing each other every day on the air, and we would just keep quiet. We're like, man, we're just happy we're on one of these.
I doubt there'll ever be like a reunion show, but I just hope that for the sake of the fans, they make up somehow.
I think at some point they probably will, because Anthony's open to going on Opie's podcast. That's what I heard. So if Opie accept there was a look.
I mean, everybody, like my girl, I've called her a couple times and have said hello to her.
How does she take that? Nice.
So just as we come to the final question, and I gotta warn you, Jim, this is the question that your whole career and fan base relies on. So this could be the end of you today.
Okay.
The Spice Girls are back. Who's your favorite Spice Girl?
Well, Mel B, because she pulls threesomes. And she's into chicks. And just that she was wild and into chicks, and she go to strip clubs with her husband or boyfriend. They pick up strippers and take them back to the hotel. I'm like, good for her. She's a good sport.
And she get pregnant by Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, of course you're gonna keep Eddie Murphy's baby. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, no, I know you. I only know you for 6 weeks, but yeah, I'm gonna keep this kid. That's a nice check she gets every month.
Yeah, and that's why.
One on the way, and he's got 6 with that other woman that he was married to, Nicole or whatever her name was. So he's got 9 kids now.
What else would you do? I mean, if you've been a millionaire from Saturday Night Live, you're a 19. What else is there to do but shoot loads?
But I'd still pull out.
Yeah, well, true. It's like, what do you want? 18 years of raising some 18 seconds of a dirty face.
That or just get a vasectomy. I got a vasectomy after I got divorced. So all my loads go inside. Seriously. You know what I mean? Like, so just get a vasectomy. I go, I know I don't want to have any more kids. I got one. I'm good. So I don't have to worry about it.
I know.
Some girl goes, hey, you knocked me up. Oh, really? I did? Wow.
And you always run the risk of having a second kid that turns out to be Oh!
Well, I know my son's not at like 5 when I was showing him like the band Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale, and then that Pretty Reckless with Taylor Momsen, these 2 hot chick singers. He'd be watching the videos like, Dad, my penis is getting really big. I'm like, nice. I'm like, so's mine.
Jim, I think that's the best one to go out on here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, Jim Florentine, thank you very much. You're absolutely hilarious. I hope he's back on again sometime soon. So that was your episode. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a thumbs up. Don't forget to follow on social media. Don't forget to check out the version on iTunes if you're watching on YouTube. Don't forget to check out the version on YouTube if you listen to this via iTunes. It's Hughezy. Bye-bye.